And now I'd like to introduce our senior, Maya Banks, who will be our closer for tonight's EMC Symposium. And I'm sure you'll all see in a second why our speeches were back to back.
Hi, my name is Maya, and I'm 18 years old. I live in a 4-bedroom house with my wonderful family, and I drive my own car. Next year, I'll be attending school in Southern California on a scholarship for lacrosse. I'm graduating high school with honors, and I plan to attend a prestigious law school one day. So, now that you know a little bit about me, I want to ask you a question. How quickly into that little introduction did you begin to judge me? A girl wearing a really sharp outfit, speaking to you from a stage about all the wonderful things I have. Let's face it, I look like the epitome of privilege right now. Did you notice my MAGA hat, by the way? If you did, you're probably assuming that I'm a big Trump-loving Republican. And if you're not a huge fan of our current leader, you probably didn't like my hat so much, and maybe you're a little bit hesitant to listen to what I have to say. But wait, hold on a minute. You don't know who I am, and we've never had a conversation before, but yet, based on those facts alone, we might already be divided. So this division that I just staged between you and me is exactly what I studied for the duration of this year, between the left and the right, the Republicans and the Democrats. And I know, after listening to so many amazing presentations this evening, I'm sure your minds are overflowing with new information, so I will try to keep my politics as interesting as possible. So when I was around 7 years old, before I knew what a political party was, I learned to eavesdrop on my parents like a professional spy. I used this inquisitive skill often, but what it gave me in return was my interest in politics. I can remember listening in on a family debate about whether or not Obama would make a good president and being absolutely fascinated. But this curiosity didn't spike until recently, right around the closing of the 2016 election. It felt as if politics were so central in everyone's minds, and a sort of unspoken, invisible divide seemed to enter through the doors of my high school. And in result of that, my questions multiplied. I wondered how it was that we all form our own unique political opinions, and what makes those on the right so different from those on the left. Over time, are the right and the left becoming more different? What role are teachers and parents and politicians supposed to take in this political divide? What about the role of a random average student like myself? So it is evident that in the aftermath of the 2016 election, political polarization did increase. And I know I said I'd keep this interesting, so don't get too scared about this slide. So if you turn your attention to the graph on the left, you'll see 1999. And there are gaps between prioritizations of Republicans and Democrats, but still there's common ground. You can see education, Social Security, and healthcare. Now look to the graph in the middle. 10 years later, 2009. There's a little shift and there's some more gaps, but still there's common ground, like terrorism and the economy. Now look to the right, 2019. Suddenly, that common ground just seems to disappear, and gaps have emerged, just like the gaps that I saw between the walls of my high school. But it didn't end there. As you can see based off of these charts, partisan animosity increased after the 2016 election. Republicans and Democrats were willing to admit that the other was closed-minded, immoral, lazy, dishonest, and even unintelligent. And because of that, we became frustrated, scared, and angry towards each other. But it didn't end there either. It's the politically engaged that are the most polarized, the Republicans and the Democrats who actually hold power. So what does this do to us? Well, for one, it makes us more divided from those in office, but it makes us more divided from each other too. So what was I to do about all this? A random average girl from Albany, New York. I felt pretty powerless. I knew I couldn't do anything to get rid of the polarization in my own school, let alone that in the entire country. But I also knew that I had to do something that would be worth my time. So this was sort of a period of trial and error for me. I interviewed people and I sent out a survey. All of this with the same goal in my mind. I wanted answers. But all the information that I was getting just didn't feel right. There was something missing. So I came up with a simple little solution. I would just talk to people. I would have open and honest conversations with another. So I created a podcast. Here I was able to talk about issues like immigration and gun control, but they didn't turn into debates. Questions led the conversations forward. And I hope to come out of this with the same thing that I wanted before, answers. But instead, I came to a little realization. Maybe my role wasn't to ask questions for the sole purpose of getting answers. To be honest, I'm exiting this year of research with more questions than I started with, and honestly, more confusion surrounding my topic as well. But I think there's something to be said for the unknown, because we all face it, and we can all admit that we don't know. And maybe that puts us all on the same playing field. Think about how many of us in this room don't know each other. But then think about how many more of us don't know each other in this entire country. We are all so very different, we're practically strangers. But that doesn't mean that we can't work to get to know each other. And there's potential for progress here. Progress can mean a multitude of different things. Progress means having a tough conversation and disagreeing, or teaching young ones to seek facts and form political opinions, or listening to a news channel that you don't support and actually listening to it. But there is potential for progress here. So hi, my name is Maya Banks, and I'll be attending San Diego State University in the fall. I hope to study political science, and I am not a Republican. It kind of hurt me inside to put that hat on today, but research purposes, of course. And this is who I am on the surface, but in reality, you don't know who I am, and I don't know you. But we should try to get to know each other because I think we could be friends. Thank you.